Hey guys, welcome to another episode. I want to jump right in and start talking WWE 2017 Hell in a Cell. I want to go down the card, give you my thoughts on the entire card, as well as give you my match predictions, tell you a little bit about why I feel the way I feel about the matches and why I chose who I chose. Going to jump right in and start talking about the pre-show. Historically, the pre-show has always been regarded as the throwaway match, the filler match, the match they put out there while people were still filling in, getting their food and tuning in. So it's usually something largely forgettable. Last several months have seen a paradigm shift as far as that goes, and WWE has really been delivering high-caliber matches and high-caliber talent to really kind of set the bar and the tone for the entire show. I don't look for this Sunday to be any different with the team of Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable versus the Hype Bros. Now, of the entire card, I had two matches that I had a hard time picking a winner on for different reasons. This was one of them. You got two teams here that I think are going to implode before the night's over. One of these two teams is breaking up at the end of the match. On one side, you've got the Hype Bros, which the Hype Bros have run their course, man. They kind of done all they can do with the Hype Bros, and I don't really feel like there's a future for that with these two guys. They had Mojo Rawley win the Andre the Giant Battle Royal at WrestleMania, and since then they haven't really done much with them. I think if you're going to pull the trigger on Mojo Rawley, you need to do it sooner than later. And the same thing can be said for Zack Ryder. Zack Ryder has always been that guy who's been just right there, and then they snatch him back and they pull him back to you and he's out jobbing out to everybody again. Zack Ryder, of anybody on the entire roster, is the most due for a heel turn. And I look for that to happen Sunday night against Mojo Rawley if they lose. However, on the other side of the card, you have Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable, who are teamed together for reasons that just seem obscure to me. I find it odd that WWE would go through all the time, effort, and energy to break up American Alpha, send Jason Jordan to Raw, to arbitrarily team Chad Gable with returning Shelton Benjamin for no real good apparent reason. I look for something to happen with these two guys should they lose at the end of the night, and one of them to get pissed off and turn on the other. Now, I've got Shelton and Gable turning on each other. I've got Rawley and Ryder turning on each other. How do I pick a winner? They can't both turn on each other. Going way out on a limb here and going with the Hype Bros to win this one, with either Gable turning on Benjamin at the end or Benjamin turning on Gable, one way or the other. These guys are splitting up by the end of the night. That's what I'm calling for the kickoff show. Getting on to the main roster, I'm going to start off with the match that, quite frankly, I couldn't be less emotionally invested in, and I hate saying that because I love both guys. Dolph Ziggler versus Bobby Roode. It's Bobby Roode's SmackDown main roster pay-per-view debut. I've been a fan of Dolph Ziggler for years, and I know he's taken a lot of heat from a lot of people over the years of being a cheap knockoff and a cheap ripoff of Shawn Michaels and a cheap ripoff of this one and that one. And for me personally, Dolph Ziggler is so much more than that. And creative has really kind of run with that internet sentiment towards Dolph Ziggler in the last couple of weeks. Has seen him come out and, make fun of the Ultimate Warrior's entrance and the Undertaker's entrance, and his big thing has been just kind of, everybody's about the entrance, and it's the entrance that gets people over anymore, and their work in the ring doesn't. And enter Bobby Roode, who again is at least up front about the entrance. The entrance is all on point, man, between the song and just him and everything. But he also gets it done in the ring. And here's where I hope these two are going to come together, have an absolutely spectacular match, and make the payoff worthwhile for a storyline that, quite frankly, I could give two shits less about. Looking for Bobby Roode to win this one. I don't think he's going to lose on his main roster pay-per-view debut. This one's kind of a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. Next match is one I'm kind of looking forward to, mostly because I, like many people, were severely pissed off at the way their SummerSlam match was booked. Rusev versus Randy Orton. I was absolutely disgusted with the way they booked the SummerSlam match, and maybe they were looking long-term and looking down the road, but SummerSlam is your big event. That's where you end feuds, you tie up storylines, and then you move forward from there. You don't start them off. And they had this big build-up to SummerSlam for Rusev to come out, attack Randy Orton, the bell ring, Randy Orton, boom, RKO out of nowhere, 1, 2, 3, goes home. And that was it. After weeks of build-up, we got a 3-second match with an RKO. And I thought it was absolute garbage because both of these guys are capable of so much more. I have been high on Rusev for years, going all the way back to when he was the U.S. champion and he had a series of matches with John Cena. That's what won me over with Rusev. For me, he's one of those total package guys in the way that he moves in the ring, he works in the ring, the way he brings his character into the ring. Everything about him is just, for me, on point as a character and as a wrestler. Randy Orton takes a lot of heat for being lazy in the ring and not putting forth the work. I have a feeling we're going to see the Randy Orton that everybody fell in love with in this match against Rusev. I think they're going to bring out the best in each other, and I think they're going to put on a clinic. Looking for Rusev to win this one, mainly because in this one, I will pick my favorite. My favorite's Rusev, and I think he's due for a push. Moving on to another match that I'm having a hard time getting myself emotionally involved in is the U.S. title match with Baron Corbin versus champion AJ Styles. Like both of these guys, absolutely love AJ Styles. There's nothing more than I can really say about him. Baron Corbin is one of those guys who, when he was in NXT, I didn't like him. I didn't get into him. I didn't really care for him. Then they brought him up to the main roster. They had him a few matches, got him built up a little bit. Baron Corbin has started to win me over in terms of how his work ethic is in the ring. I know he's taken some heat lately. A lot of people, speculation on the internet, if you believe what you read. He's taken some heat backstage for his attitude. May have gotten in a little bit of hot water for a Twitter flame war that he got into with Dave Meltzer a couple months back. There's also some speculation that John Cena didn't feel like he was ready yet after his match with him. So it just seems like they've kind of reeled Baron Corbin back in a little bit. I think if they're going to do anything with him, they need to do it now. I think they need to give him the ball, let him run with it, and see if he can handle it. If he can't handle it, then you just kind of pull him back in and figure out what to do with him. And I think they're going to do that Sunday night with the U.S. Championship. I look for him to beat AJ Styles so that he can move forward and try and build himself into something that people believe and it's something that people can get into. I also think on the other side of that, AJ Styles is about due for a bigger push. He's been kind of floundering around there for the last couple of weeks. He did have a series of great matches and a great feud with Kevin Owens a couple months ago, which led Kevin into some bigger things that we'll talk about in a few minutes. But again, my pick on that one is Baron Corbin to take the U.S. title from AJ Styles. Next up is one that I think is going to be the sleeper match of the night. I wish this was in a Hell in a Cell because I think the women deserve another chance at a Hell in a Cell match. But SmackDown Women's Championship, Natalya versus Charlotte. Looking forward to a great match with these two. They've always had awesome chemistry in the ring, and I think they're going to deliver again on Sunday night. Pulling for Charlotte to win this one. Nothing against Natalya. I love her. I love what they've been doing with her. She's absolutely a crutch and cornerstone in the entire women's division. But there's been a lot of time, effort, and energy devoted to Charlotte. I think it's time for her to regain her throne and take the SmackDown Women's Championship from Natalya. Moving on to another one that I think has the potential to be a match of the night is the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, Usos versus the New Day in a Hell in a Cell match. This one I look to just absolutely tear the place apart. They have in the last couple of pay-per-views. I'm going to go on record as saying when the Usos came out originally and they had the face paint and the whole dance gimmick, absolutely hated them, couldn't stand them, couldn't get invested in anything that they were doing. And then came the heel turn, and they absolutely won me over. I could not be a bigger fan of everything that the Usos are doing right now, which is why I think the Usos' time is now. I think the Usos are going to win in what's going to be the match that people talk about at the end of the night. Next up is my number 2 match that I had a hard time picking a winner on, and there were a variety of reasons for that. It's the second of three Hell in a Cell matches. The SmackDown Heavyweight Championship, Jinder Mahal versus challenger Shinsuke Nakamura. I got mixed emotions about this whole thing, man. I want to be excited for this match because I want to see Jinder have a good match because he's yet to do that since he's been the champ. And a lot of people complaining about how he got the title, why he even has the title to begin with. You went from being a guy who was barely even back on the roster to jobbing out to everyone to all of a sudden he's got the strap and nobody seems to be able to beat him. And it's just really not making any sense. And there's a lot of speculation that attendance is down, ratings are down, and everybody's, of course, unfortunately pointing at Jinder Mahal, and it's not really his fault. They put him in a position that, quite frankly, I don't think he was ready for yet. I like him. I like what he's doing with the modern-day Maharaja gimmick. He believes in it with everything that he is, and I'm digging that, but I've yet to see him have a match that really says, yeah, that guy needs to be the champ because he's earned it. On the other side of that coin, you've got Shinsuke Nakamura, and their last match at SummerSlam, something just felt off. Whether it's their chemistry together or whether it's just how limited Jinder seems to be in the ring versus what Shinsuke does in the ring. I don't look for this one to really... I don't look for people to be talking too much about this one after it's all said and done. I think it's time to pull the plug, at least temporarily, on the Jinder Mahal experiment and go with something fresh, go with something new, put the World Heavyweight title on Shinsuke Nakamura, let him run with that, see what happens, and then go from there. Finally, Kevin Owens versus Shane McMahon, and this is one that's just been, for me, money. Just a money feud, man. You've got Vince involved, Shane involved. It's become personal. They've been great storytelling. Kevin Owens is probably my favorite guy on the entire roster, and that includes Raw and SmackDown. I think this guy's in-ring work is above and beyond spectacular. I think his character is above and beyond spectacular. I think he is that total package guy in terms of what WWE is looking for. And I think the fact that Vince has gotten himself personally involved in this feud tells you how high Vince is on him and what his worth is to the company. And I think they're really going to let him and Shane just throw balls to the walls in this match and go all out. They've turned the Hell in a Cell match into a Falls Count Anywhere match, which is a little odd because I always kind of felt like matches like this should have been that way anyway. But I look for this to be match of the night, absolutely. And I know I've said that in the past, but I just think this was going to be complete chaos and carnage. And, you know, Shane will put on the Shane show. Kevin Owens will put on the Kevin Owens show. Kevin Owens takes the win in this one. I don't think he's losing to Shane McMahon in what will be just a spectacular, disgusting carnage match. Anyway, those are my match predictions for Hell in a Cell 2017. We'll see how I do on this one. As I've said before, my predictions for YouTube on WWE events tend to be shit. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to do a wrap-up show and a review show probably next week after it all, and, you know, we'll see how I did. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you're digging what I'm doing, please, guys, hit the like button, subscribe, share my videos, let people know what I'm doing. I'm trying to build an audience, and I appreciate the love. I'm out.